Thanks for tuning in to the Palm Beach Podcast, a weekly show highlighting people making a positive impact in our community. With your hosts, sports chiropractor and athletic trainer, Dr. James Spencer, photographer and art director, Mike Jones. Our show is brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters, Opportunities in Delray Beach, and the Lotus Travel Company for retreats and tours in Palm Beach County. Hello, and welcome to the Palm Beach Podcast. My name is Mike Jones. I'm hanging out at Media Zone with some amazing people and some delicious looking bread, Dr. James Spencer.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to dig in after this.
Yeah, I was telling Mr. Johnny over here that your wife is going to be a happy camper after this episode.
Oh yeah, I can promise you that. So yeah, special guest in the house tonight. Bread by Johnny, the man, the myth, the legend. We've heard such good things from previous guests.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming in the studio, man.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
It's like most of our guests are word of mouth referrals, and we've had so many guests mention you, not even like to say come on the podcast, but like, oh yeah, I had this morning, or going to the place where it just got delivered. So I think people know your schedule, bro. They know when the bread's getting dropped off, and
Amazing.
It's a real compliment to you and you know, your business and you as a person as well.
Yes. So let's tell the listeners a little bit about what you're doing in Palm Beach and obviously this amazing quality of bread that you're providing.
Thank you. Yeah. So I started my bakery, Bread by Johnny, in November. It was November 28th, 2018. It's all organic flour. We use a natural sourdough fermentation process for all of our breads, which is a differentiator that most people think of sourdough. They think of highly acidic bread. It's really the process of fermenting the bread. It doesn't necessarily have to create a sour flavor. It can, but it's more so for that complexity where you get an acid balance with the beautiful grain flavor.
And don't be scared to jump on that microphone.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, is that better?
Radio voice. Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
But it is cool to see like instantly like passion, right? Like
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, when you have a product that's so important and as genuine as like a loaf of sourdough bread, like it's amazing, and it's something that I'm super passionate about. I mean, like everything from the flavor, the keeping qualities, to the health benefits is what makes it incredible. Like I have customers who can't eat any other bread besides my bread because of the fermentation. The bacteria breaks down the starch, the gluten chains, making it more digestible. Like I have customers who have diabetes, Crohn's disease,
celiac, I'm sure.
Not celiac. Yeah, that's the one thing that nobody can. Celiacs can't have my bread. Don't. So do you provide I don't want a lawsuit out of this.
Do you provide a gluten-free option?
Yeah, it's no gluten-free option. It's all for people who are sensitive to gluten. It's a difference, like a sensitivity versus a celiac. People who are sensitive can usually eat the bread. Celiac, not so much.
Well, I'll tell you, just from our quick conversation and hearing how passionate you're really an artist.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to, and to see you portray that into this cool product is amazing.
Thank you. No, yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that my mentor, Don Guerra from Barrio Bread, really instilled in me, is that it's Barrio Bread, artisan bread, the ART is capitalized, and he puts such an emphasis on the scoring, the shaping, and that's something that really carry on to me. It's like you want every single loaf to be unique, but you also want it to be unique with the artistry. You don't want it to look like slapped together, but you want it to be, you know, like beautiful and unique in its own right.
And really, how did you start learning about this?
I started baking probably when I was like 9 or 10, just with my grandpa. Now he worked at a bakery when he was really little, and he always liked to bake bread. And I think
Jersey, right?
Yeah, he was in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was in New York. Yeah, we used to make like focaccia, really simple Italian breads, and from there, it just I kind of just snowballed it. I started delving more into different breads. Then I made my own sourdough starter when I was in college, and that was really where like the light bulb really like shifted for me. Like I had sold like bread throughout high school. I had a subscription service, and I I would go to the Gardens Green Market and the Tequesta Green Market. But like for me, the real switch was like, this is what I want to make my career, was really when I started doing the sourdough starter, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. Like, it's like
just look at it, bro. It's like braided hair over here. I saw your pretzels as well. So like, you will make some other things outside of the bread.
Yeah, like it's I don't know, like a bread cousin.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And where'd the name come from?
Like I started baking bread and selling it, like I said, like when I was like 14 years old in 2011, and I didn't have a name for it for the first few months. I was just knocking on people's doors, like, I want to buy my bread, in like a sketchy unmarked brown bag, and somehow people actually wanted to buy it. But that I remember I was like sitting in like my parents' living room, and I was like, I should have a name for this, and like I was like thinking, how about Loaves of Love? And everyone's like, this is a really bad idea.
What about sketchy brown bag of bread guy?
Sketchy brown bag with like white powder on the periphery.
Yeah, we'll buy that from you.
Yeah, like, yes, kid, let me buy this. But no, I think my sister was like, Bread by Johnny. I was like, that sticks, and it just kind of grew into it, and I love the name now, and it's really cool. Like that, it's something that I kind of, it sounds weird, but like grew up with. Like I kind of got to see it from like the beginning, where it was just me in high school, just kind of like messing around, to like now it's really awesome.
Well, now you're running a full-fledged business, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Retail, wholesale. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, retail, wholesale. We have 1,000 square feet. We have the oven in the front, so when you come in, you can actually see the bread being baked, coming out hot. I always love when people come in right when the bread's coming out, so I can just take it right from the oven loader into the brown. The still the same, the brown bag, only now there's a sticker on it.
A little less sketchy.
as you can see.
I love it. And you know, share some of the restaurants who, you know, wholesale accounts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Currently we sell to about 16 different establishments. The first two that started buying my bread were Ristorante Claretta in Palm City and Marcello's La Serena in West Palm Beach off of South Dixie Highway. And like the two of them, Chef Marcello and Francesco, really supported me from the beginning, and they helped me find other contacts that really helped me kind of grow that wholesale network, and that's really been amazing. I sell to them. I sell to the Breakers. I sell to Cucina, Almond on Palm Beach, La Galoo, Johan's Joe, Fern Street Wine Bar and Kitchen, Gilbert's Coffee Bar. Lots of really, really great places. 1000 North, couple country clubs like the Loxahatchee Club, Jupiter Island Club, Ballon Isles.
Just like some of the best places.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah, that's really
amazing. Dude.
Yeah, this is really cool to see the just this idea, this artistry grow into now it's a full-time business for you, and obviously you need help of family and friends. So really cool to see, and a young entrepreneur as yourself. That's what the podcast is all about. Supporting the locals.
Yeah, supporting the locals.
And I think that's really important for everyone that's listening that like may not be a baker, or like, you know, may not, you know, your small business doesn't, the niche of this small business doesn't matter. The lessons to be learned are lean on some good contacts in the area that you have, and then let them reach out to their contacts and do good work. And eventually everything will take care of itself. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they have to have a product that speaks for itself, but
yeah, that's the most important. And really, when you see this, I mean, it's something that's very attractive, and people who actually are into bread, that's the first thing that caught my eye. When you pulled it out, I wasn't expecting to see how beautiful the appearance was.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, like I said, we put a lot of effort into it. Each loaf takes 3 days from start to finish to make. Just like, even though we're closed on Monday, Monday, somebody goes in and like feeds the starter. And that's the starter that is propagated and to go like a little bit goes into every single loaf in the bakery. Then on Tuesday, even though we're closed, somebody comes in and they mix the dough. Then the dough gets shaped and it ferments overnight. And then we come in on Wednesday and we bake it off. So it's like a 3-day process from start to finish.
And like your starter, is that something that you kind of keep from batch to batch? Like, does it kind of like, how's that process work?
Yeah, it's, I kind of refer to it as almost like a circle of life process. I have a separate container for the main mother culture, which is what we put into the starter which we take a little bit, like the seed, that goes into the big batch, and then that big batch goes into every single mix to leaven it in place of commercial yeast. So we have that, and then lots of times, and I'll be like, oh no, I did not make enough starter. Or like some wholesale account's like, I needed 50 loaves for tomorrow. I'm like, oh no, I did not account for this. I have to take, it's what I call the circle of life. I'll take like a loaf of country or something that hasn't been baked yet. I'll just like just throw it in the mixer and be like, please work. And luckily it always does, because it is like that circle of life where you take the old dough and it could become new bread, or like the starter. It's all kind of comes from that mother. It's all kind of from that same culture. That's what makes
So cool.
all the breads.
And would you allow others to come shadow you and learn from you like Don did? Or have you?
I mean, I would, like, not necessarily, like, it depends on the circumstance.
Sure.
Like,
It's got to be a good fit.
it has to be a good fit. I'm not necessarily letting people in right now in the middle of a global pandemic, but I always try to be as open as possible with bread questions. I probably lend out my starter, like, once a day. Like, someone will be like, oh, starter, I'll, like, they bring in a jar, then let's give them a tablespoon and they can make their own.
Well, it's just you seem very passionate about the education side of it, which is what kind of what I'm getting at. I'm like, well, obviously there's a lot to learn from this, a lot of trial and error and everything else. So it just seemed like another side of the passion project for you.
No, yeah, and I love talking bread with people. And like, if anybody ever has a question about it, I always want them to reach out, and I always want people to learn, because it's such a process that's super therapeutic. It's really cool to see like a mess of flour and water that's like all like scraggly and like just like falling apart turn into this beautiful silky dough, turn into this like this piece of like this piece of dough that then turns into this beautiful loaf of bread. So it's really cool to like foster that.
So us here at the Palm Beach Podcast, we like to do our research before episodes, and I believe that you have a passion for grains.
I do.
Talk to me about like the grains you've been experimenting with, and dig into that.
Oh yeah, I think that wheat is really amazing, and it's one of the coolest. I think it's like a really cool product, because it's something that I feel like has like kind of a bad rep, and like people think, oh, like gluten is bad, bread is bad, but it's really a lot of that commodity wheat that's been bred for drought resistance, pest resistance, which is super important to feed a lot of people. But the nutritional side of it, the flavor side of it kind of gets thrown by the wayside. And that's why a lot of people are having intolerances to wheat, because this thing that is so hardy and so you're able to produce so much of it. It's so hardy, but it's also like hardy on your digestive tract.
Literally.
Yeah, so it doesn't do the best, and like sourdough fermentation mitigates a lot of that, but it's also really great to work with lots of great grains. We get our bulk flours come from Central Milling, which is an awesome company out of Utah. They do really great work. It's kind of like a West Coast organic counterpart to King Arthur in a way, and it's really, really, really great stuff. And that's our main flour. But then after that, I also get from Carolina Ground, which is it's my specialty flour, and it's some of the most beautiful flour I've worked with in my life. I get it. It's from Asheville, North Carolina, and the miller, Jennifer. She's incredibly talented, incredibly intelligent, and like I'm super grateful for the partnership, like the relationship I built with her over the last few years.
Hello, Jennifer. Come on down to Palm Beach sometime with
some flour.
Yeah.
But it's like amazing. I was telling you guys earlier that one of the coolest things about getting that relationship with Carolina Ground going was you sign up to be someone who buys the flour, and you have to fill out an application, which is not a crazy thing if you're going to start buying bulk from someone, but it's usually like a credit application. You have to put like financial information, show that you're like a good person to work for, that you're not going to like stiff them for thousands of dollars. But on hers, there was none of that. It was all questions like, what is your philosophy on baking? Asking questions kind of about like, what type of breads do you make? What is your space like? Like, how do you like, what is like, there were actually some like questions about like, what's your opinion on like localized grain economies and things like that.
It's
And
almost like if you're adopting a dog. Like, she wants to make sure the bread's going to a good home.
exactly. She
I love
actually-
that. Yeah, no, I love that.
And before I opened, she was actually driving to Miami because it was right around Thanksgiving, and she brought me my first shipment of flour in the back of her car. So she actually got to see the bakery before it opened. And one of the first things she did was like, be like, okay, you have a walk-in cooler. My flour needs to go in here. It'll preserve the integrity of the oils that will keep the flour fresh longer. So it's not sitting like in a pile next to the oven going rancid. She wants to make sure it has like the flour has a good home in the bakery.
It's really cool to see that she cares so much about her quality and takes pride in it, just as you do. And it's exactly what you said, that her quality product is going to a good home.
Exactly, and it's like it's really inspiring to work with people who are like that, and it's great to have like-minded people who like you could use the resource. And because she uses so many like small farms in like the Southeast, the product could be a little bit inconsistent, which is it's always consistently incredible flavor, incredible product. But like protein levels could be a little bit different. Certain aspects of the flour could be a little bit different, which kind of affect the recipe. And she's been like a bread baker for like decades. So like she owned bakeries and everything. So I'd always be able to call her up and be like, hey, how can I adjust this? My hydration's at like 78%. This new batch, it's reacting a little bit differently. And she'll be like, okay, drop this 3%, do this, lower the starter amount by this amount. And I'll always do it and I'll be like, perfect, the next batch.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And I think it's interesting just to like touch on the topic how, you know, a lot of the marketing and the diet and nutrition world, they try to program you that like bread makes you fat. Like it's a direct correlation, or that carbs make you fat, right? I used to work in an Italian restaurant, and there used to be marathons that were ran past this restaurant. And go see what a marathon runner eats the night before that they run.
Carb load.
Dude, they come in and they eat a garlic and olive oil whole wheat pasta with grilled chicken, and there's not a lick of pasta left because they know they're going to need it. So it is interesting to see you speak about it in a way where it's like, this is actually, that's for a reason. It's because it's mass produced, but it's really cool to hear you just sit here and like talk ingredients, grains, the people that are doing the distribution of it as well. So learning a lot.
Well, and the running theme that, again, I think we're seeing with a lot of the previous guests is it's a matter of quality over quantity, right? And taking pride in the quality of what you're providing for yourself and for others, which is really cool to see. That I wish more businesses would kind of learn that concept and take pride in it and deliver like you do and show face and develop the relationships and nurture those versus just throwing somebody out there who doesn't care about your product. You know?
Yeah, I always try to be my own advocate, especially for wholesale meetings. I've always been like the first one to introduce myself to whoever's working at a restaurant or whoever I'm going to be talking with, the point of contact. And I always try and like make it as personalized as possible, whether it's them texting me their order and I could talk to them, and like whether it's developing bread recipes that fit their menu well. Like I always try to work as personally as possible with, you know, chefs, restaurateurs, and everyone that, you know, that I work with.
People are foodies, bro.
Especially here in Palm Beach.
Yeah, they're into it. It's I mean, I would like to go when like cheap and then insert food here is nothing that I've ever wanted to say. Like, let's go get some cheap sushi. It's like, no.
Good luck.
Yeah, like I don't want to associate food with being like cheap or cost efficient. Like at that level where you got to think your body it's your fuel, and if you're gonna dump bad fuel into your body,
and I want to pay for the experience.
Well, look at this, dude. Look at this setup that we have right here.
Yeah, we got the prosciutto bread, the apricot buckwheat hazelnut, right over there, fig walnut, and cinnamon raisin. An assortment of fruity and meaty delights.
So if I was to make French toast tomorrow morning, which loaf of bread would you recommend?
I'm assuming this is a complete hypothetical.
Ooh.
It's prosciutto one?
No. The cinnamon raisin for sure.
Oh, really? Okay, because I was thinking maybe the prosciutto for like the little
Meaty
savory.
pop.
Yeah.
No, cinnamon raisin.
Yeah, cinnamon raisin is great. The prosciutto is like a meal on its own. The apricot buckwheat's amazing with like a smear of brie or some sort of soft cheese. And fig walnut would make a great turkey sandwich.
Good to know. And now, to eat these, can we eat them raw right now or bake them? Or how do you suggest we eat?
You could like rip a piece off if you want.
Yeah.
I'll
be
go
digging
for it.
Yeah, I'm definitely digging in.
Which one is like the prosciutto one? I feel like I gotta
It's the braided loaf right over there.
do it, bro. Let's go.
Yeah, it's I get it from a local importer, the Truffle Guy. He's based out of off Australian. He gets a lot of Italian products in.
Dude, this thing is like 5 pounds, by the way.
Incredible taste.
Oh man. Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, it's got the prosciutto cotto, pancetta, and hot sopressade right in the dough, and some coarsely ground black pepper.
I love the black pepper.
It just kind of adds a little
Exactly, a little kick at the end. I like that.
I'm gonna go get some butter out of the fridge, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Butter this up. All right. Well, let's say this: olive oil and balsamic, or butter. If you had to pick one or the other.
Oh, that's a completely loaded question. It depends.
I know it's a tough one.
It depends on the loaf. Like, I would go butter on most of these ones because they're fruit loaves. But if it was like the sesame, or like the country loaf, or like our herb bread, I'd pick olive oil. And like, we have to also talk about like the quality of the product as well. Is it like some random olive oil, or is it like some really good
cold pressed?
Yeah, cold pressed, like actual like slow food approved olive oil.
So you would say it's like if you're gonna go to the gym, you're not gonna wear high heels. You should wear sneakers to the gym, and you wear your high heels out on the
runway.
Speak for yourselves. I only wear high heels to the gym.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we got to ask you, man. Like, who helped you get to this spot right now? Who would you thank?
I'd have to thank.
I'm just gonna keep eating
Yes.
bread, so don't mind me.
Okay, I mean, there's a lot of people I have to I have to thank. I mean, obviously, my parents. They were the ones that kind of nurtured my initial spark and baking and everything. My girlfriend has been my girlfriend Caitlin has been like my rock for the last like nearly 2.5 years. We started dating right before the bakery opened, like a month and a half before it opened, and she's helped me like immeasurably over the last like 2.5 years with almost everything. Like, it's great to be dating someone who's super smart and can help you in things that you're not necessarily the most, confident. You're not the most confident. Yeah,
It's a team.
like she's helped. Like, she built like Excel cost models and like scheduling. So she built like scheduling spreadsheets, training manuals, things that help me because I'm not an organized person. She kind of helped me like build things that made it easier for me to kind of be organized. My mentor Don Guerra, from Barrio Bread, has been an incredible influence, and he's been super supportive of everything since I spent a few months with him. And I could always call him up and ask his opinion on something, and he's always there to like provide some feedback, some input. Like I mentioned before, like my first 2 wholesale accounts, Marcello Fiorentino from La
cool
Serena,
that you went back like that. I love
and Francesco from Ristorante Claretta. They were like gigantic helps, like from before the bakery opened. Like, they like let me, who was baking bread out of my parents' kitchen still, like come into their restaurant and like make bread for their dishes and stuff, and like let me speak to their customers and everything before the bakery even opened. And then
We're gonna have to go check them out, Spence.
yeah, both amazing restaurants. And then I have to say, like, my grandpa, he was a graduate of the Culinary Institute in the 50s, and we actually started baking bread together. Like, my grandpa and I, we actually started baking bread together at the same time back when I was like 11 or so, and like, because when he was in culinary school, different grandpa, by the way, he always hated bread, and I was like, oh, we should start making bread, and he kind of started making it, and we'd like discuss it and everything, and he kind of fell in love with it the same time I did. And he's, like, he would always hang out with me at green markets and like always keep me company, and it was, he's been there for me. He still comes into the bakery Thursdays and Sundays.
Like, just
I make him like sit in the corner, mask on, behind the plexiglass, but
well, it's good, and people want to know that as well. Like, you make a lot of food for a lot of people, and you wanted to take precautions here, and we definitely appreciate you being mindful of it all.
I think it's just like a level of respect for customers. Like,
Sure.
I never want any customer to feel like unsafe. It's a level of respect. Like I respect my customers like enough to the point where I'm like, I don't want to endanger your life, which you would think is a bare minimum, but so many people don't even do that. But
It's true.
And we respect your prosciutto and your bread, dude. It's so good. I just smashed that whole piece, and I'm like looking at the next one that I want to try. So we can't thank you enough. You're a fabulous guest without bringing in the bread, but now that you spoiled us, you brought a little.
You're the man, Johnny.
Thank you. You guys are the men.
Well, we appreciate you coming in, and keep wearing those high heels at the gym, right?
Will do.
Hey, cheers.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Palm Beach Podcast. Our show is brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters, Opportunities in Delray Beach, and the Lotus Travel Company for retreats and tours in Palm Beach County.